show up to immigration appointments just like these to ensure that families have both legal and emotional support. In Broadview, Lisa Nunez, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Thousands gathered in downtown Chicago today for a No Kings protest against the recent ICE raids and the Trump administration's policies. Organizers say more than 5 million people took part in the coordinated demonstrations.
They were held in cities large and small across the country, as well as some major cities around the world.
The rallies coincided with President Trump's parade in Washington, D.C., celebrating the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary. Here's Evelyn Holmes with the message from today's protests.
The Chicago area saw a number of No Kings rallies, one of them being here in Daley Plaza. Chicago's No Kings March took to downtown streets as a part of a nationwide movement to denounce President Donald Trump and his policies. Scores of people turned out for the kickoff of the noon event at Daley Plaza this weekend. It's the latest of several anti-Trump protests locally and across the country as the administration ramped up immigration raids and sent in military forces to LA to quell civil unrest.
I'm here because I feel like there's limited things that the average American could do. And one thing is we can use our voices and speak out and say what we want and what we don't want. We don't want a king.
Hundreds of Chicago police officers blocked off streets and escorted the huge but peaceful crowd as they marched past Trump Tower. The Chicago protest is one of thousands around the nation. Organizers say the protests are in opposition to the military parade Trump has planned to mark the U.S. Army's 250th birthday, which coincided with his 79th birthday. An event critics say is being paid and funded by taxpayers, while Social Security, Medicaid, and food assistance programs are being gutted. We are here to say no to goons in our streets, no to ICE, no to Gestapos, no! We must have a free nation where everybody can stand free. There were also several other No Kings protests around the Chicago area and in Northwest Indiana. Large crowds turned out in far north suburban Gurnee as they did in Evanston. Chopper 7 also captured marches and rallies in other suburbs as well. Chicago police estimate over 15,000 people took to downtown streets, with only one arrest made so far.
Our officers, we give them direction, they follow their training, and they just did an excellent job of keeping cities safe.
Today's rally and march appeared to be mostly peaceful, and organizers are saying it was a success as they plan more. Back to you.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, Chicago's No Kings protest was one of more than 2,000 across the country today.
In Los Angeles, a demonstration turned chaotic when police used tear gas to disperse the crowd. The LAPD said its officers were responding to demonstrators who threw rocks, bottles, and other objects.
Protesters also turned out in force in the small city of Charlottesville, Virginia. Hundreds lined the road near a shopping center to wave signs and call for change.
Protests were held in other countries. There was a big march in Mexico City. The demonstrators demanded respect for migrant communities. Another protest took place overseas in Paris. Hundreds gathered in the park where the Bastille prison once stood. The crowd included American nationals. Chicago police are asking for the public's help in finding an 8-year-old boy missing for more than a week. Police say Jador Frazier was last seen on June 6th. They say he was taken from his grandparents' home by his father, Christopher Upshaw, and they may be traveling in a beige Cadillac sedan. And anyone with information on their whereabouts is urged to call police.
Hearing now from the family and neighbors of the 76-year-old man who was killed in a house in the south suburb.
This happened around 2 yesterday afternoon in Crestwood. As Evelyn Holmes reports, the cause is still under investigation.
The investigation into what caused the explosion continues as authorities confirm they have located the home's one occupant. Daily reveals the devastation after a south suburban home explodes and goes up in flames, leaving a man believed to be the 76-year-old homeowner dead. The body of an adult male was found in the rubble. Although investigators have not yet officially identified the man, this woman who did not want to be on camera says she's related to the victim by marriage.
It's just devastating, and I feel terrible for my granddaughter and her husband and their entire family. So it's gonna be a lot to cope with.
The unthinkable happened Thursday around 2 o'clock in the afternoon in this quiet cul-de-sac near 141st Street and Kenneth Court in South Suburban Crestwood. That's when calls for help began pouring into 911. Moments later, firefighters arrived to find the home engulfed in flames. They immediately worked to contain the fire.
And all of a sudden I heard nothing but a big, huge explosion. And just knocked me.
I'm gonna go ahead and
I
go,
ran
but
outside.
I'm getting tired.
The house was on fire and neighbors
I'm
coming
gonna take me a
running
nap.
towards
My
me.
mouth
Chopper
hurts.
7 was over the scene of the home, which was leveled by the explosion. At least one nearby home was severely damaged. This afternoon, investigators on site trying to
half
figure
hours,
out
my
why the
tongue
house
is
blew up.
numb.
Neighbors say the man
Sleep
who
you
lived in the
too.
home was a Vietnam vet who was a retired truck driver. They say he lived in the house for a while with his wife before she died a few years ago. And while authorities say nothing is being ruled out, those who live here struggle to make sense of the tragedy that left their neighborhood in shambles. No firefighters were heard battling the blaze that happened after the explosion. At this hour, the cleanup continues, as does the investigation.